Hello, everybody. Whoops. Hang on. There we go. Sorry about that. In a new location so that I can actually do painting for today's stream. So yeah, I'm still just adjusting everything to try to make sure that the mic is set up correctly and all that. And unfortunately, because I'm on my other setup, I do not have my animated skull going in the background. But yeah, so welcome everybody. Doing something a little bit different for the Mellow Monday stream this week. I decided that I was going to go through and try to paint some of my Marvel United minis, because I've had these for a while now, and I have quite a few of them. But I every now and then I like going through and painting some of the minis that I have, and these have just been begging for a good paint job. So yeah, figured it would be a good thing to do on the stream to really just it's a nice relaxing way. It's a nice relaxing thing for me to do at least, and I figured people would appreciate the kind of chill vibes from it. But yeah, just to show what I've done previously, so far I've got the Incredible Hulk that I have painted the mini for so far. Doesn't show up super good on the webcam because the focus doesn't quite work too well. But yeah, so I've got Hulk painted so far. I've got Carnage. Actually, I will be right back. I will go grab Carnage and throw him on the camera. Hang on. There we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, I've got Carnage also so far. I'm gonna adjust the light just a tad because it's kind of blowing out the camera a little bit. But yeah, so it came out pretty good. It again, like the camera doesn't show up. I'm gonna see if I can adjust the focus on the camera because it's not quite showing up great. Let's see. Close. I want the camera controls, please. Turn off autofocus. Alright, that's a little bit better. We can kind of maneuver it a little bit to try to get it so it shows up a little bit better. But yeah, I think Carnage came out pretty good. Like, you can kind of see the lines that I dry brushed on. There you go. There we go, it's showing up a little bit better. Yeah, so I think it came out pretty good. But yeah, so today I've got a few things to go through and do some painting on. I figured I'd go with some stuff that is relatively easy to do paint-wise. So I've got a couple figures of Venom. So this is from the expansion stuff for Marvel United. They did a Kickstarter for it. So I got all of the expansions for the Kickstarter. But they had a big old Kickstarter exclusive box that had, God, I don't even know how many heroes and villains in it. But they had Venom that came in both the hero variant that you can play as and the villain variant that you can fight against. In the newer boxes, because they also did a Marvel United X-Men Kickstarter that I also got in on. They expanded out so that they actually did more of the playable villains, as it were, kind of thing. So instead of having multiple figures for basically, like, Venom is the only one in the base set that has both a hero and a villain variant figure and deck to go along with it. with the Marvel United X-Men set, they introduced a new thing called Anti-Hero, where basically it's one figure, whereas the hero figures are blue and the villain figures are red in the base set. In the X-Men boxes, they still have hero figures that are blue, they still have villain figures that are red. But if they have a figure, or if they have a character that can either work as a villain or as a hero, they have what's called an anti-hero character that comes in purple for the figure. So that way they only had to do one figure for a bunch of these, because they ended up doing a bunch of anti-hero characters that you could play either way, which was cool, and I can understand why they wanted to make sure that they weren't just doing a bunch of extra plastic for figures that would work as both kind of thing. So I can totally understand the thing on that. But as far as what I have today, I'm going with just the regular Marvel United stuff, which includes the hero and the villain version of Venom. So I am going to be starting off with the hero version of Venom, and we'll do some stuff with that. I figured Venom's nice and easy. I don't have to go too wild with him. Basically just black and whites and some pink for the tongue. And then I can do like a lot of stuff on the base as well. But as far as the base stuff, it's just black and white. That's super easy to do. There's also I'm probably gonna try to do some highlighting just to make it pop a little bit more. So we'll see how that goes. It's been a while since I've done any serious painting, because like I said, I've done basically just Carnage and Hulk so far. I didn't really do much in terms of highlighting and lowlighting the figures, so I'm hoping to do a little bit more with that. And I feel like I've got more to work with on the Venom figure to really focus on that, because I don't have to do a lot of color matching for trying to mix paints to get the highlight and low light stuff to work really well. So gonna do a little bit of paint mixing here. Hang on a sec, I'll be right back. Sorry about that, just needed to go grab... I like to grab toothpicks, that way I can kind of take paint out of the paint pots without pouring them. So I can kind of just do a little by little to try to get paint out of the paint pot without dumping a whole bunch of it. So, although I'm getting very little out at a time, so I feel like I may need to kind of do a pour here. You know what? Let's do it. Although the palette's probably not showing up on the camera, at least it doesn't look to be from where I'm sitting, so I may pull that in just so that shows up on the camera as well. Gives you a little bit something extra to look at. So here, let me pop that on. There. Alright. Cool. So then, just gonna thin out the paint just a tad. And that's the other thing toothpick is good for, is go and mix up the paint a little bit more with the water. That way it's a little bit thinner. So yeah, let's work on that. We'll also apologize. Usually I'm doing this in my office, and my dog is usually hanging out in the living room, but she is actually hanging out under the table right now while I work on this, seeing as I'm in the space that she's usually in, so... but she is just having fun with her toys right now, so... It'll be nice. She can do her thing. I can spend a bit more time with her as well, so that'll be good. Alright, so we're just gonna do nice, not really worrying about being fancy and specific right now because we're just kind of globbing on the paint just to get a nice base coat down, so... I will try to keep looking over at chat just to make sure if people pop on that I am not ignoring them. I'm sorry that the camera's kind of getting blown out by the light I need in order to see better. There's not a whole lot I can do about that, unfortunately. Because my choices are either have the camera get blown out by the light, or don't use the light, and then I can't really get a good sense of what's the, can't really get a good sense of what the color looks like. Oops. A little bit on me. Okay, that's looking pretty good so far. Okay. I'm just gonna grab the water. Actually, you know what I forgot? I'll be right back. I forgot to grab a paper towel. Anyway, I kind of, here we go, dry out the brush a little bit whenever I am coming out of the water, because I don't want to have it just be completely overwhelmed with moisture on the brush when I'm trying to do this, so... Alright, let's see if I can get this aimed at the camera a little bit better. It's tough, like, I'm not sitting... Well, as you can tell, I'm not sitting behind the camera, I'm sitting to the side of the camera. So, it's one of those things where... Oops, I'm kind of trying to do this such that I can paint without, you know what? You know what might be easier? Let me try tinkering around with this a bit. Let's see if I can try to aim it so that the camera is situated in the direction that I am facing, and maybe that will do a little bit better of a job in making it so that both I can see what I'm doing and people can see what I'm doing. So let's see if I can do that. That kind of works a little bit better. It's just going to be a little iffy for me trying to see what I'm doing with the camera being where it is. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna shift all of this forward a bit, that way I can kind of be up on this a little bit better. There we go. Okay. Alright, that might work a little bit better. Let me shift some stuff around here real quick, because my paint palette is on the wrong side of where I need it. There we go. This is a bear with me stream because I have not done any painting on camera before, so It's kind of tough to know where to situate stuff. I hope you dig in the tunes, too. I went through and downloaded some of the stuff that I bought on Bandcamp to do a little bit of background music, because I don't know about you, but I don't like the sound of my voice. I'm sure some people do, but I've got the thing that most people have, which is that they hate the sound of their own voice, and I can't imagine just listening to myself for a couple hours without having any background noise. So this is a little hard to get on camera, but I think we're making do. And I mean, really, when it comes down to it, you're kinda getting most of what I'm trying to do on here. And really, it's just a base coat, so nothing real big that I'm like showing off for painting skills, and please do not expect there to be like painting skills on this stream, because it's been a long time since I've done any serious painting, and even then I was okay at it at best, so. But it's always fun. Like, I used to paint my, I played a game called, Hordes, which was the wild variant of another war game called Iron Kingdoms. So Iron Kingdoms had, like, fantasy steampunk mechs, and they had a sister game that used the same rule set, just slightly modified for the difference in theming, and it was called Hordes, and it basically was composed of the fantasy races that also exist in the world of Iron Kingdoms, but they are the more wild ones. Like, there were wild trollkins in there, like feral trolls, that kind of thing. You had like the druids and stuff like that existed in the forest. They didn't really go out into society, kind of thing. And the game was completely compatible playing against Iron Kingdoms, so you could do that kind of stuff. And that's what I ended up doing, because there weren't a lot of people that were playing the Horde side of things, and I much preferred the flavor of the Horde side of things. I had a army for Legion of Everblight, which was a army that was based around a dragon that was steadily taking over different races, basically kind of corrupting them, that kind of thing. And a lot of just weird dragon spawn that it created, that even got into like some Cthulhu type territory with the designs. I really liked playing that army. It was a lot of fun. Had some truly horrific and interesting looking figures for it. So it was a very fun army to play as in that. I haven't played Hordes in a very long time at this point, though. But it was a ton of fun, and I did some of the painting for that game with my minis that I had for it. had an especially, like, I was very proud of it, figure. That was the, what was it? Lilith, I think, which is, she is one of the warlocks that, if you bought, like, the base box for Legion of Everblight, she was like the defaults, the base warlock that came with that set. She was a very cool little character. But I did a paint of her, and I honestly, I think it came out pretty dang good. Like, it was a really nicely done paint job where the highlighting was, like, perfect on it. I was super happy with how it came out. It's like she had a really nice flowing cape that that I did a lot of work on getting all of the creases really popping on it. It came out looking, I think, pretty good. I think I got rid of those figures, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd probably bring them out to stream, but or to show on stream. But one of the unfortunate things that happened with Lilith was when I was clear coating the figure and letting it dry, it tipped over while it was drying, which unfortunately, when I went to go lift the figure off of the pad I had it drying on, it peeled off a good chunk of the paint job on her cape. And it was just so sad. I had to redo most of her cape, unfortunately. But, you know, it happens, and got it fixed, so can't be too disappointed. I am trying my best to keep this, you know, I'm gonna do this where kind of keeps it on camera a little bit better while I'm trying to work on it. It's just tough because I'm trying to see the figure, but I'm also trying to make sure I can keep it on camera at the same time. And the camera is, like, kind of just in the worst possible spot. Not that there's a really... So, unfortunately, there's no real good spot for it to be. It will always kind of just be in the way. Okay, music is still going. It's hard to tell. I've got it very quiet, so you know what? Actually, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. There we go. And please, if the music is too loud, too soft, whatever, please let me know. I will adjust it. So we get a few little spots that we missed. You know what, actually, this brush is too big to go into the mouth. I'm going to, while I've got this like this, I'm gonna try to work on the mouth because it's gonna be very hard once I want to try to do detail work to try to get inside there without screwing up the paint job, so let's see, what do I have? I'm just gonna set this down right here. Let me grab a better brush for doing inside the mouth. Let's see. That might work. It's better to do the mouth while I've got not a lot as far as detail work done. Inside of the mouth. I'm gonna just pull up a picture real quick. Yeah, he's kind of got pink on the inside of his mouth. Maybe if I can darken up a pink a little bit, do the top of his mouth in that. Okay. Let's do this. Here. Here we go. Sorry for not a lot happening on screen. I'm currently working on getting paint into my palettes. That should be good enough. Let's throw that there. We're gonna see if I can get the paint palette on camera. Let's move this out of the way. I'm just gonna put this here, put this here. Let's put a little bit of red into the pink. See if I can darken it up just a tad. I'm running low on red. Hang on. Top that closed. Flat red. I will need to get some more flat red, apparently. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Alright. I need a fresh cup. I will be right back. Just needed to have a fresh cup of water. That way I can use that to thin out stuff and have my other cup be my cleaning cup for cleaning off the brushes. Don't know how much we need to thin this out anyway, because we're not trying to cover a big area. And quite honestly, it's not going to affect things too much if I kind of glob on inside the mouth with the ink. So, alright, let's see if I can get inside the mouth a bit. It's going to be tough because it's a very small space and it's very, very hard to get primer inside the mouth. Because I already primed these things ahead of time, so. Okay, let's see if I can get inside there a little bit. You know, I'm gonna hit up the teeth while I'm out here. Not that the teeth are gonna be pink, because they're not. More so that if I miss anything, then they'll have a nice pink area by default. And it'll help make it so that the... God, my hands tremble too much. It's the other reason why this really doesn't work all that well. I'm gonna need to touch that up. Thankfully, again, we're doing the mouth really early because once we go through and do detail work, it would be really rough trying to do detail work and have to do the mouth while trying to do detail work. So like kind of, I don't know if it shows up well on the camera, but like right here I kind of like, you know, smeared pink. It's not going to matter because we're going to go over the layer again with black because that was just the base coat. So really what we're doing here is, doesn't matter if we scum this up a little bit because we're going to be going over everything again in a better layer. So this is more just to get a nice base coat down. And honestly, this might be, if I can get, I think I gotta get a little bit more inside the mouth. I don't need to do a ton of work on the mouth because honestly, like it's such a small area that is really hard to see unless you're like really, really, really looking hard at this figure. No one's gonna be looking at the top inside of the mouth that much. So if I can get it mostly covered, that's the big part. It doesn't matter too much if we slop this on a bit much in the mouth. There we go. I think I've got that mostly okay. You know what, let's go in here a little bit. Kind of touch up the bottom of the tongue. And get it just along the side, inside the jaw. Because that's the other thing is, like, the top of the mouth doesn't really matter all that much. Almost no one is going to be lifting up the figure to see the top inside of the mouth. But they will see if I don't cover enough of the inside of the mouth right below the tongue. Like, if there's a little bit of blue peeking through, it's gonna not look great. So now, I think we'll do a base coat of... you know what, let's take a look. I'm gonna take a look at my reference real quick. You know what? I think the pink that I have mixed right now will actually work pretty well for doing the base coat on the tongue as well, because I want something darker to start with. That way the highlighting really pops on it after. So, you know what? I'm gonna leave it like that. So, here's what we're gonna do. Let's give this a stir real quick because it's kind of starting to separate a bit. There we go. Yeah, I think that pink will work pretty well for getting the base coat of the tongue, and then I can do all the highlighting work after. I might do a bigger brush to save time. Let me do a bigger brush. I don't need something ridiculously big, but certainly bigger than that detail one that I was trying to do. There we go. Alright, that should be a little bit better. A little bit off. Oh yeah, look at that. Paint might be a little thin, but you know what? We'll do another coat after. This doesn't need to look super good for the base coat. It's, again, just kind of giving it a base to go off of. And then we can do another coat after that, make it look a little bit better. Just want to try to cover up the primer mostly. Oh yeah, that's looking pretty good. And then once we get... Oops, it's kind of just the paint's a little too thin for me to be doing too much. It's kind of not binding great. But we'll do another, like I said, we'll do another coat. And that will hold better. There we go. And I hope you can see everything okay. It's one of those things where if I can see stuff, then it's possible that the stream can't see it. So, but it looks like it's kind of working. Alright, just gotta hit a couple bare spots right here. May need to futz with the focus again, because things are just kind of out of focus. Not that it's going to get too much better, because part of the problem is that the focus is very specific on stuff needs to stay right in the spot that's like you can't veer too far out of the sweet spot that the focus is looking at. If I turn off autofocus. If I turn autofocus on, it doesn't seem to pick up the figure all that well. Alright, I think... No, we got a little spot right here. There we go. That's better. And thankfully, we're not too thin on the paint. Part of the worry is whenever I thin paint out with water, is you got like a sweet spot that you want to thin out the paint just enough so it gives you a nice thin layer. That way it doesn't like glob onto it kind of thing. Because then you lose a lot of detail stuff if the paint is globbed on. Like a lot of the little creases and stuff kind of go away if the paint is too thick, because it'll just suck right up into the creases and you lose all of... Hang on. Come on. Yeah, if the paint is too thick, it will just kind of fill in all the creases, which you lose a lot of detail with that. But at the same time, if you put too much water into the paint, it'll thin it to the point of it just has... It's too thin to stick even to the primer. So it's a game that you're constantly trying to fight with yourself on of, is it thin enough? Is it too thick? You don't want to thin it out too much because then it just won't hold on anything. Like, it might hold on the flat surfaces, okay? But as soon as you hit any, like, corners, sharp edges, stuff like that, the paint will just kind of just spread out off of the points and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to fight with it a little bit to try to get stuff to get just the right viscosity so that it will hold but won't glob onto the areas that you're painting. Ooh, that is a little bit too thick. My black is kind of dried out here. Yeah, I might need to throw some water in that. So I'm gonna go back over some areas that I missed. Because as I was rotating this around, it's like, oh, that has no paint on it. So let's try and get a little bit of paint on the areas that I missed here. There we go. Alright. There's like a couple little spots along like these creases that it's kind of hard to see when you're painting them initially. Plus, the paint is very, very shiny when it's just on there, so you kind of lose track of if you've got good coverage because the shine of the paint kind of blends in with the primer. So it's a little tough sometimes. But here, I'm gonna see if I can get that onto camera a little bit better. Sorry. That's not gonna show up too well on camera because I'm trying to get this part right on the leg that is kind of blocked by the base, unfortunately. There we go. I think I got it. It's tough to tell. It's like right between his legs is a little bit hard to get with the paintbrush because the base is just kind of always in the way. Kind of hits little areas that we didn't get before. There we go. How did the hands turn out? They're kind of... Whoop. Missed that finger entirely. Go through and do that real quick. That's a little tough to get on camera. God, it's almost like I should have like a GoPro strapped to my head while I'm trying to do this. It's just tough to really catch a lot of this little detail work on camera. Alright, just kind of touch this up, get some of the little thinner areas that didn't quite hit enough before. Oop. Missed that spot right there. There we go. Oh man, I'm just seeing more stuff that I missed, like this spot right inside the leg. It's completely missed. Actually, the inside of the foot right here too. It's really hard to see on the camera. But yeah, like the entire inside of this foot right here. It's just not at all touched. It's all primer still. Granted, I don't need to be like too careful on this. Like this is still doing just coating stuff to get it to a point where I can start doing more work on it. And honestly, I'll probably... It's a tough call. I think I might try to do the base and then come back and do some of the detail work on the body after. It's always a tough call. It's like I want to try to minimize having to redo areas. And if I start doing the base, then that kind of hits a lot of areas where I'm worried that I might scuff up any detail work I do on the figure. But it's a balancing act, right? Because it's also vice versa, where if I decide to do detail work on the base first, right, I potentially scuff up any work that I've done. Well, if I detail the base first and I go and detail the rest of the body, then I might end up scuffing the base, and it kind of works the opposite direction too. So it's a balancing act. It's one of those things where I'm always like, I don't know. Do I want to go and do the base first? Do I want to leave it for later? But in the meantime, just keep touching up any spots that we missed before. Yeah, there's a couple little spots. But overall, we got most of it. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to go through and kind of do a general glom of the base, just to try to get something down on there, and then I can worry about doing detail work on it later. Like, I don't need to focus too much on detail work on the base, because people are not going to be looking at the base most often for a lot of this stuff. So, alright, what do I want to throw down? Let's do a flat brown. Flat brown is good for some dirt. Alright. Let's see. Move him into the middle. And that way there's at least something to look at. Again, the light is not great, unfortunately. Let's see if I can It's not really... Kinda that works. It's a little bit better, I guess. It's tough because there's not a lot of detail on him yet, so he kind of just blends in with the pad. Actually, if I put a paper towel under him, kind of stick out a little bit better. There we go. It's tough. He doesn't have eyes yet, so... Eyes don't show up great. That should be plenty of brown for hitting up the dirt on the base. That's a good brush. Yeah, that could work. Nope. Before I go too far, let's thin this out just a little bit. There we go. There we go. Too worried about going over the lines either. Honestly, I'd prefer it because, once again, it's a base coat. We're trying to get it so that if we miss any spots, we're not just going to have primer sticking through. So, don't need to go too crazy with the being careful on this. Like, honestly, you want a little bit of overage. Again, just so that if you miss, and the worst that happens is if you end up just getting like a little bit of thinner paint in an area, that kind of thing. But you won't just have exposed primer, which does not look great. Hang on a sec. Okay, that looks a little bit better. I'm actually looking at the stream itself now instead of looking at OBS. It kind of gives me a better idea of how things look. Not too bad. It's one of those things where I'm always worried that if I'm just looking at OBS, then I might be missing stuff if OBS is not picking up the chat correctly or something like that. So it's always nice to slide over into the dashboard, make sure that everything is still pulling up correctly on the stream. There we go. And please feel free, if there's anyone currently watching right now, you're more than welcome to chat with me. You will not break my focus that much, because honestly, there is not much focus to break. And I'm always happy to chat. And what we're going to ultimately be doing... Ooh! Missed that entire section of his thumb. I will have to... Oh yeah, there's like another spot right there. I gotta go through with the black and kind of like hit all those areas again. Well, I say again, like, I very much missed a few specific points, so... Okay. This is gonna be a little tough to get a good shot of it on stream. I'm kind of just hitting up the base a little bit here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of sacrifice showing to the camera a bit just so I can try to get spots on the base covered up. Because they just don't show up all that well. Because there's too much model in the way. I'm trying to get a good shot for the camera. Like, it's to the point where I even have a tough time seeing it without trying to keep it in line for the camera, so that puts it into perspective just how difficult it is to try to get it a good spot for the camera sometimes. Bit of... There's the rocks right there. Like, I'm gonna be painting the rocks like a gray, but as with everything else, I want to make sure I kind of get everything covered at first. And do a little overhang on kind of everything, just to make sure we don't have any exposed primer. Right there. Go through, hit this up a little bit more. There we go. Oh yeah, like all this right here. All that needs to get filled in. Hope everyone's having fun with this. I know I am. I just wanted to do something that's nice and relaxing for a stream. And painting is always one of those things where if I'm in the mood, it can be a really good time. Alright. Doesn't look super good, but it doesn't have to yet, because that's the thing is we're just trying to get all of our areas covered. Alright, so that's pretty good for the dirt on the base. Probably going to do another pass over it just to try to get the color a bit more vibrant, because right now you can really see the paint strokes because of the fact that it's just a single coat. So we still got to go through. Let me just tap this with a bit of water real quick. There we go. Just going to go through and hit those spots that I saw on the hand that I had missed. Actually, I'm looking at the figure from this angle right now. I can also see a spot right here between the shoulder and the tentacle coming off the back of it that does not have any paint on it. Like I said, it's one of those things where with the shine of the paint, it's really hard to see spots you missed until it dries. Alright, good. Yeah, like, back of that thumb there has nothing on it. Fingertips kind of got nothing on them. It's kind of hard, too, with the fingertips because he's got claws. And the paint's too thin, which kind of's on the edge. But like I was saying before, if the paint's too thin, then you get these situations where on the hard edges, any sharp hard edges, like claws, the paint kind of just splooshes out from, like, it's hard to describe. Basically, you've got a hard edge, right? So like if I was painting my finger as a figure, the tip of it, if the paint's too thin, it's just gonna spread out so that the tip of the finger is still just primer, and it's all gonna be like going down the other end of it. So it's kind of the thing that you're always gonna run into with figures that have sharp corners, claws, that kind of thing. Anything with sharp edges, I just pulled that off. Yeah, this paint is a little bit too thin. I need to just add like a spot more of paint onto this. Black. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna go... completely new spot on the palette. Just because the paint is getting a little too... like the paint's getting a little too thick and thin in that one spot on the palette. So I'm just gonna do a whole new thing. That way we don't have to deal with dried paint getting in the way and kind of giving the spot a skin on it, which is the thing that I'm kind of running into right now. There we go. Alright, let's give this a rinse. Okay, that's good. Give this a little mix. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, it's holding pretty well. I feel like this will work a little bit better. Oh yeah, that's definitely holding way better. Yeah, that's actually covering now. Now let's take a quick look, see if there's any other spots we missed. That bottom of that foot. It's a little... There we go. Feel like I got that this time around. This whole area. There we go. Just giving this a once-over, see if there's any other spots. These joints kind of didn't really get a whole lot. Like there's a little spot right here, right there. Kind of the collarbone area kind of needs a little bit more. It's because the creases didn't get a lot of paint in them. And like the lower, it looks like the lower jaw on this figure is a separate piece. It's hard to show up on... Here, I'm just going to turn this a little bit. There we go. It's hard to show on stream, but the lower jaw part of the figure looks like it was a separate piece that they glued on. Or it's probably glued on, or something like that. It might just be a snap-in piece, but you can see the lines where it's a separate thing. So it's kind of need to give a little bit more on those areas, because otherwise it the paint is not really going too far into it. Okay, and like this is kind of also... Oh yeah, like the underside here, it's tough to show up. You can kind of see it. So, right here, got that area where I didn't hit it before, so like, kind of have to go over that too. It's tough. There's a lot of areas on this figure where it's hard to hit with primer. I should have done like a paint-on primer, honestly, because then I probably would have been able to get all of these little spots easier. But I like a spray primer, because it's nice to just give it a nice even coat. And I don't have to do a lot of small work like this. But it's got enough primer on those areas that the paint is not just like kind of beading on it kind of thing. Yeah, this spot's kind of got nothing on it too. Oop, there we go. What palette is not too hard to make if your paints are drying out too quickly? What brand are you using for paints? Oh, I am using... Hang on. Gotta grab it. Tamiya. So, you got little Tamiya paints. Bought them a while back for doing airbrushing. So they work pretty well in that. The metallics are okay. I actually get a different brand for metallics when I'm doing airbrushing, but... Haven't tried those. I'm using Vallejo. Yeah, I've used a little bit of that too. They work pretty well. I kind of got a whole mess of different paints because I was using can't remember the name brand of it, but it's the paints that Privateer Press kind of advertises for their War Machines and Hordes figures. Bought it because it was easy to get, and it was cheaper than buying the stuff for Games Workshop. Which isn't saying much, because everything for Games Workshop is expensive. Alright. What do we got? You know what? I think I'm gonna use... I have metallics over here. Yeah, exactly. Warhammer 40K. 40K, thousand or $40,000. Yeah. It's one of those things where they make really nice stuff, but it is very, very expensive as well. So, alright, so metallic for the beam that's on the ground. I am actually going to not thin this out, because then it won't paint correctly. Alright, let me give this a little mix. So how you been? Haven't talked to you in a while. Family good? Ooh, this is actually kind of blending in with the ground a little too much. You know what? I'm gonna go get a different metallic paints. I'll be right back. I think I'm gonna try to get more red metallic for the beam. This is a little too brown. Kind of blending in with the ground. Try copper instead. Copper might show up a little bit better. Alright. That should be good. Dip into this. Okay, that's going a little bit better. It's still kind of blending in, but I can actually get that to separate out a little bit after. It's tough. I don't have like any metallic red, unfortunately. I feel like I'm gonna need to pick up some metallic red because when I go to do Iron Man, that'll be kind of a necessity. There we go. It's looking a little bit better. Yeah, I think once I do the ground with another couple coats, it'll really help differentiate it from the copper. Because right now the copper kind of has just a little bit of color difference, and you really only know it's there because of the shine to it from the metallics. But once I do another coat on the ground, it should help differentiate everything better. Yeah, it's one of these things where I'm just gonna have to go through and do a little bit more touch-up work after to try to get things to pop a bit more. Trying to think of what I should do for this little frame bit right here. Just gonna pull this out a little bit to try to get it to show up better on the stream. Actually, I'm just gonna shift this forward ever so much. So I'm kind of running out of space. There we go. There we go. Now the camera's at least sitting in a good spot. What should I do for that little frame area right there? Thinking. Oh, I have a dark copper. How does this compare? You know what? I'm gonna skip doing the copper. What do I have for metallics right here? That's not one. Let's see. That's tacky. That's not quite what I want. Flat earth. Flat brown. Red brown. You know what? We're gonna do the rocks. While I'm thinking what color I want to do for that little frame piece in the back, I'm gonna do a layer on the rocks. Make them show up a little bit. Because right now, they're just covered in the same color that is the ground. go. That should be good enough. There. That is hopefully not too thin. That might be a tad thin. We'll see. Give it a shot. See what happens. Big tell will be whether or not it holds onto the edges. Which that's... yeah, that's kind of beating off the edges. Yeah, I need to add a little bit more paints. There we go. Try that again and see if we can get it to stick a little bit better. Like, it's sticking to the flat surfaces fine, it's just the edges and stuff is just kind of beating off of it. Yeah, it's working a little bit better. There we go. And this is a whole bunch of little rocks, so honestly, I'm just kind of like gonna go over this area and kind of just a general brush. We can make it look a little bit better after. But it's tough, because it's like a bunch of little chunks of stuff. Let's see how we can get the rest of this. Gonna have to... there we go. That'll work. It's looking pretty good. Do want to hit up these edges real quick, though. Kind of missed that in the first run through on the dirt. Gotta say, I haven't actually listened to these soundtracks yet. Liking it so far. It's one of those things where it's just... I'm so used to just being background music on the Adventure Zone podcast that I haven't really, like, ever given it a listen. It's pretty good, though. There we go. Kind of looks a little bit better. Maybe hit this area a little bit more. This stone right here needs something to differentiate it from the dirt. There we go. It kind of works. Alright. I need to actually decide on a metallic to hit this little frame piece in the back with. So I'm gonna go look through my paint collection real quick and I will be right back. Alright. So, I decided on, I'm just going to grab aluminum. And we'll do that. I need to give this a little stir. Even a shake didn't really mix the paint all that well. Oh yeah, that's kind of like solidifying in the bottom. That would be why. Give this a little stir. Then I can put some in the palettes. There we go. Yeah, it's kind of all glomming together. It's been a little bit since I've used this aluminum paint, apparently. I do wish that I could airbrush this, because as nice as some of these metallics look, I have airbrush specific metallics that just they look so dang good. There's like no comparison. They just look fantastic. But it's a little too small of a model to be doing airbrushing, unfortunately. Yeah, actually, you know what? I am gonna do the bigger brush on this one. Let's do the bigger brush just to try to get a little bit more coverage first. Could mask with silly putty if you really need. Yeah, could. It's for something as small as the little metallic pieces that I'm trying to get at, it would be kind of overkill, unfortunately. Whoops. Yeah, got a little bit there. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just like a little bit too much for doing something this small. If I were to do, like I tend to, like when I was doing cosplay stuff, I was doing metallics for that. That I would just airbrush because it was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do the whole thing because I generally only had one area that I needed to do for the metallics on that. But like if you get the right stuff, like the metallic paints that I have for the airbrush are really, really nice. Like they've got a one of the colors I have is for like a heated metal. So like when you've got sort of like if you have like a heat gun, that kind of thing where you've got a silver nozzle, but then it kind of goes down towards like a burned blue kind of color. I've got the paint for that burned blue style color. It looks really, really nice. But like I said, you kind of have to... It's specifically set up for using it with an airbrush. Doesn't quite mix well if you're doing it just on a regular brush kind of thing. Alright, this is going to be a fun one to get at. Feed it through here. There we go. Okay, that's probably good for this piece. Back the camera up a little bit again. Alright. Think we'll do another coat of black to try to darken up the suit a bit more. There we go. And I'm thinking, looking at this, I'm using flat black because that's what I have. But when I go to clear coat this, I think I might do a at least a semi-gloss coating, or yeah, a semi-gloss clear coat on it because I feel like Venom should be a little bit more glossy than flat. The suit doesn't quite look right unless he's looks like he's kind of wet, I guess. tell you, it was nice. I painted a couple of these figures a couple weekends ago, and it was a nice, relaxing day just doing that. I don't get that many days where I can just kind of sit around and do that kind of stuff. Hey! How's it going, Par? We are painting some of my Marvel Unlimited figures, or I guess more specifically, I'm currently painting Venom, and I have been for the past hour and a half. And I need to cover up this spot that got all kinds of metallic paint on it when I dropped the figure. Yeah, I'm kind of still going through. I'm trying to darken up the suit a bit more on this because I haven't quite put enough coats on it yet to really make it more black as opposed to dark gray. Like, it's tough. Like, it looks pretty black on camera, but that's kind of the lighting in the camera. So, it's tough. But once I get the suits pretty well done, then I can actually do the detail work with the eyes and the emblem and the teeth. Just gotta get a little bit more on here and get it to darken up a lot more, because right now it's also just being like basically maybe 2 coats at most. You can still kind of see the paint strokes on it too, so bits, if I get this, might be enough to get it to really kind of be done for the main coat, and then I can go through and get the highlighting and stuff done after I do the white for the teeth and for the eyes and for the emblem. Just want to make sure that I get all of the black parts of the suit done first before I move on to working on the white parts, because especially once I go to do the emblem, if I don't have the suit kind of done at that point, then when I go to do the emblem, it's going to be real rough trying to do another coat of black after that, so is it like Venom? It is Venom. Yeah, it's a little Venom figurine from the Marvel United board game. I've actually got 2 Venom figures for that game because they did a hero Venom figure and they did a villain Venom figure. So I'm gonna get to paint Venom twice. And I don't know what I'm gonna do for the second Venom figure. I kinda want, like, the figure is a different pose and all that. But, I don't know, I kind of want to do like a different color for it. Like, I could just do another black suit the same as before. But I feel like I should do a different, design, at least for the paint job on the other Venom figure, to kind of differentiate it a lot more. But I definitely can't paint it like Carnage, because I already have a Carnage figure. So I've got that one that I did a paint job on a couple weekends ago. Came out pretty good, I think. Hit like all of this again, because this is like super duper thin area. Needs a lot more coverage, because I can definitely see the brushstrokes on this. And the metallic spot that I accidentally hit this with when I accidentally tipped the figure over while I had the flat aluminum for part on the base that I was painting. And actually I need to, once I get this pretty well covered and it dries enough, I want to go and do some detail work with the reference images that I've pulled up of Venom. He's got like kind of a white or metallic plate over his knuckles. So I might try to do that to get the thing to show up a little bit more and give it a little bit more personality. Actually, you know what would be a good... Well, I mean, not necessarily a good idea for a paint job for the other Venom figure. I'm kind of meh on the design, but maybe I could do the second Venom figure in the style of Mac Gargan's Venom, which I don't entirely like, but it would at least give some differentiation from the two figures. Because Mac Gargan's Venom suit has, instead of having the big white eyes like the standard one that Eddie Brock has for his suit, he's got like these little bitty white eyes in the middle of the big eye. So it's just like, I'm not a big fan of that design, but it would at least be something different. So I don't know, I might end up doing that kind of thing for the other Venom figure. But we'll see. As this is going right now, I'm thinking it might just be I'm doing this Venom figure this stream, because I've been going at it for quite a while, and I've got about 45 minutes left, so I might be just doing this figure this stream. Not that I'm complaining, because I am actually really, really enjoying this. It's nice and relaxing. Gonna hit up this leg a lot. This leg's got like brush strokes are showing up big time on this leg. I think part of that might come down to the leg didn't get a good amount of primer on it from when I was spraying it down. So it's possible the paint's not sticking all that well to it. It's looking pretty good. It's mostly there. So now, I think that's good enough as far as the black goes. Like, it's got pretty good coverage. There's a spot right there that I could probably hit. Just above the shoulder, where the tentacle is coming out of the shoulder. It's a little spot that needs a hit of paint. But the rest of it is looking pretty good. Just gotta hit this area right here too. There we go. Alright, I think it's probably pretty good on the black. I think I'm done working on the black part of this. Because it all looks pretty even. Not seeing any spots that I missed. So I think can actually work on doing the white parts now. So let's spin this around. And I just gotta shake up this white paint. Yeah, okay. Just throw a little bit white onto the palette. A little bit more of that. There. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. Give it a dot. That's probably gonna be too much water. But it gives us a good idea of how much more we need to add in. So actually I'm gonna add in another little splash of paint. And give this a mix. And see how it holds. There we go. Alright, let's do the eyes. And the emblem, I might try to dry brush it. Because my hand might be a bit too shaky to do detail work like that. But I can at least do the eyes. And actually, let me pull up my reference picture real quick. Yeah, the eyes are just kind of just plain white. Alright. Give the eyes some life. Alright. Oops, there we go. Yeah, we're gonna have to go over the eyes a little bit more after. But it's a pretty good starting point. Alright, let's see if I can do these teeth. And I'm very sorry if I'm quiet sometimes, but just kind of get into the flow, and I forget that I'm streaming. There we go. Come on, there we go. There we go. And you know, it is kind of fun doing these little parts. So just kind of, just barely hit it. But even just barely hitting it really starts to give some definition to it. Yeah. Try to do it like this so I'm not touching the rest of the figure too much because I'm worried about the paint coming off on my fingers. I do have a nice paint stand coming in, but I've got a while before that comes in. So I'm making do with what I have. And what I have is my hands. You know what, I'm just gonna do this. There we go. That'll work. Just kind of set him on his side, and then I can actually get at this a little bit easier. Tell you, once you get the white on here, the figure is starting to show up a lot better. It's like just doing the black coat on it was like, yeah, you know what? It looks enough like Venom, but once you start getting the teeth and the eyes, like it really starts to show up a lot better. There we go. There. Hit the teeth a little bit more. Yeah, it's not looking too bad now. Alright, so we'll hit... This one kind of needs a little bit more. This one needs a little bit more. Alright, that's looking pretty good for his nice grin that he's got. This... Eyes are dry enough, so let's go ahead and give it another coat. Because it needs more definition. Hey Libra, how's it going? Let's try hitting up the teeth a little bit more. Going good, just getting through COVID with really weird sleep. Oh no! You got COVID. Hope it didn't hit you too hard. Is that why you were having the weird sleep cycle before when I was talking to you? Because you said you were like doing really weird nights. You used to be round 4 with... Oh my god! Used to by now. Jeez. Oh no, you just have a terrible sleep cycle. Okay, well. That's real rough. Round 4 of COVID, that's crazy. How'd you catch COVID that much? Is it from college or what? Yesterday, woke up at 3 p.m. and fell asleep at 4 p.m. Woke up at 9 p.m., stayed up all night until 5. Jeez. Went to bed until 4, and I've been awake for about an hour. Dad goes out a lot and constantly... Oh, God, that's the worst. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with that. That's real rough. I've been super lucky that I get to work from home for my job. And I live by myself, so I don't have a lot of contact. So I've been lucky enough to have missed COVID so far. I'm hoping I can continue to be that way, but God knows that'll probably not always be the case. Well, I'm glad that it didn't seem to hit you too dang hard. Hoping that's maybe the last time for you. Speaking of jobs, I may have another job soon. Ranking relevance of search results to train AI. Full self-scheduled task-based work, 10 hours, and 20 hours max. Just a side job at $14 an hour gives me plenty of time. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that gets some money in your pocket, and like I said, gives you plenty of time to get your CCNA as well. So that's awesome. And as with anything, it's yet more on your resume. So. How's the studying for the CCNA going, or are you taking that, like, much later on? Don't think I asked if you were, like, actively working on it right now, kind of thing. My resume has a pretty big job gap. My last job putting on my resume is from December 2020. Was in stay for long. Oh yeah. Well. Yeah, it happens. I mean, and that's the thing too with like school, especially if you're doing school, like you're gonna have decent job gaps in there too. It's rough, like the market's always going to be one of those situations, or employers are always kind of like hit or miss on whether the job gap is going to matter that much. A lot of places it does, unfortunately, which kind of blows. Alright, I think the eyes are pretty good. Studying for my CCNA through Neil Anderson's Udemy course, which is pretty highly rated, talked about supposedly. It's an all-in-one, so if you pass and remember all the course, you will sure pass the CCNA. That's awesome. Well, I hope that goes well. The CCNA is a fantastic certification to have for sure, because I mean, I said this in a stream before, but anything networking related, like that's good wherever you go, kind of thing, because networking is just so inherent in everything that's, I mean, I would say just tech industry, but everyone has to use networking equipment when it comes down to it, so it's good for pretty much anything. Plus, it only costs $14 instead of the $800 or so for the CCNA official practice courses. That does not surprise me. Ooh, I kind of blew out the microphone there a bit, so I'm gonna need to turn this down just a tad. Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me all that much, because Cisco is expensive all around, whether it be equipment or coursework or anything like that. They got a premium on everything, but that's because they know they can do it. So... I like to think that Venom is full size and you are just a giant. Yeah, you know, it could be. It could be that I am just supersized. Alright, let's see if I can do this. I don't know if a dry brush is going to work well for doing the emblem. I'm hoping it does, because if I have to do those small detail work on this, it's going to be real rough. Let's see if I can do this. That's actually too much. It's kinda working. It's kinda working. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That is actually working. I don't know why I was like, you know, I'm gonna doubt dry brush right now. I don't know why. Dry brush is one of the best techniques for doing this kind of stuff. Woke up yesterday to my friend calling me, and apparently he just casually gave his two-factor to Discord scammer pretending to be stream. Oh god, no! You never, ever, ever give out your two-factor authentication code. That's... oh god. How's your friend doing? Like, that's pretty major to do. Did he manage to lock his account down? Lock his account down, but he has like $2,000 in games that could have been like, jeez. That's, well, I hope that's a good lesson to your friends to never, ever, 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 ever give out your two-factor authentication code. Still got to message Steam support so they resolve it. That's good. Yeah, that's, ugh, yeah. That scammer stuff is always rough to deal with. Thought it was common knowledge to see if it was both an official channel and that they don't ask for passwords because they already can get in without it. Exactly. There is no reason that someone from Valve should need to know your two-factor authentication code because they can access your account without having to do the two-factor authentication stuff. Gave him the IT lecture. Yep. Always a fun talk to have with people. Yeah, it's just... there's so many different types of scams nowadays, but there's always the classics of just giving out data that you should not be giving out kind of thing. know what? I am actually gonna have to do painstaking detail work for under the arms because I cannot dry brush in that small of a space. Come on. I'm gonna have to rinse that under sink. The woes of being the IT guy, the friendly friends yeah, oh yeah. I know that well. Can't tell you the number of times I have been asked, well, I'm almost always asked the tech questions between friends and family, because I am the one that is knowledgeable on that, so I feel your pain. I was really hoping that my brother was going to get into tech-related stuff with his degree so that I could stop being the main contact for family. But, that did not end up being the case, so I will continue to be that point person. Keep trying to put my grandma on Linux because she's only used to Windows XP and thinks that Firefox is an operating system. Yep. Yeah, I mean, for... like, I put my dad on Linux, because I was like, I'm not paying to... like, I already had tons of systems, that I had used previously that's just like, well, I will just give you this system that I'm not using anymore. But it has Linux on it. And it's like, hey, you know what? All you're doing is web browsing. There's a web browser right here. You can do that. And then I don't have to worry about potential viruses all that much, because as long as you're keeping it up to date, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's it's a fight. It's certainly gotten to the point where if I'm helping people, I kind of give them the heads up that it's, hey, I have very little knowledge of Windows at this point, so I can help you as best I can, but if you want me to give you a lot of help, I can do Linux, and that's kind of where I'm focused on at the moment, and that kind of cuts down on the questions for the most part. Now that Neverwhere, a fork of Chromium OS, has partnered with Google, now installing Chrome OS Flex on PCs is an option to simplify for family. That's awesome. I didn't know about that. That's a nice solution. This is starting to dry out a bit. I may need to rehydrate this. Okay. Let's try to get a little bit more of this emblem, because it's still very, very thin. Missed the Neverwhere branding, though. It even had VirtualBox pre-installed to use apps that needed Windows. Now that Google owns it, just become generic Chrome OS with longer support. Yeah. Yeah, that is a bummer. Yeah, having the VirtualBox there for doing Windows-specific stuff is nice. God, this is gonna be real rough to try to do. These lines are so small. Plus, VirtualBox had some really fun ways of doing things. Like, I especially liked, forget what it was called, but it was kind of like a seamless mode where it merged the VM GUI with the regular OS GUI. So like seamless mode, yeah. I liked that a lot because it made running stuff nice and simple without having to worry about switching back and forth between the VM. But I also haven't used VirtualBox in a while either. There was a time where I was using it quite a bit because I was still pretty reliant on Windows software for doing certain things, but that is less of the case now. For the most part, I have switched over aside from gaming, so. And even then, like, the gaming is becoming less of an issue now, given that Proton's pretty solid for Steam, so. And outside of games, I don't have a lot of stuff that I do that's Windows specific. And honestly, in most cases, Windows is kind of limiting as far as software I need to do stuff. I mainly use it just Virt Manager as a GUI for KVM VMs, but it's Linux only. I don't use VirtualBox anymore because their licensing practices rub me the wrong way. Yeah, that too. That is certainly the case. And having to constantly, with VirtualBox, keep the Kmod blobs updated whenever you updated the kernel was a pain. Games are getting super good on Linux now too. Some games run better on Proton than Windows native, and you can even get Skyrim modding too. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the from what little I've tried of Proton on my Linux laptop, it works just fine. I did get a Steam Deck though. It just came in Sunday. And I've played some stuff on that, and that little thing works great. I even tried some stuff that is not advertised as being like fully supported on the Steam Deck, and it still works perfect. I think I need some more of the white paint because this is not really going on too well. But yeah, I've been genuinely impressed with how genuinely good the Proton thing is. Like, it was a snap to set up when I was just playing around with it on my Linux system. And now that I've got the Steam Deck in my hands, like, that thing is pretty dang awesome. Like, they genuinely did a good job with that hardware. A lot of games are getting better ratings on Proton DB on Steam Deck than normal PC. Hopefully this will focus regular Linux and don't abandon it for the deck. Yeah, I'm hoping that. So here's my hope. My hope is that they will focus more on doing native Linux stuff on the, or just in general, because then they can throw their support at it, and like in a lot of cases, the engines that you're writing the games in, they just have a button that you click to spit out a Linux executable. So it's mainly from a testing standpoint that it gets a little rough to try to do it if you're a small indie place. But it also means that you do not have to worry about uh, Steam or Valve screwing up their Proton installs. So I'm hoping that's what's going to end up being the case is the game companies will be more focused on getting their stuff running natively because then you don't have to worry about uh, Proton getting updated to a certain thing or what happens if the uh, the whole thing breaks. So many devs get very confused about setting up a VM to test it on. They usually go out to find devs to test for. VBox is a little more user friendly. Yeah. That being said, VBox is about as friendly as you can get for a VM front ends. Because as much as I love KVM, it's not great for the user user friendliness perspective. VBox was like the easiest thing for me to set up VMs through. And now I use like was it GNOME boxes to do my stuff, and it's like it works, but it could be better. Someday, someone will figure out the silver bullet for making VM setup super duper easy. Because it's not quite there yet. Because if it's still confusing tech savvy people, then that's a pretty good indication right there that it still needs some work. I love GNOME boxes, but it's the opposite. It needs more advanced stuff. You can configure GNOME boxes, VMs, and Virt Manager. That'll fill the gap. Yeah, I've used Virt Manager a couple times too. That works pretty well. If I'm just doing general stuff, I will use GNOME boxes because it's pretty decently fast to get stuff up and running. But when you're trying to tinker around with specific devices for emulation, then it doesn't really work too well for that. God, this isn't really sticking at all anymore. I need to mix it. Come on, paint. Stick to the brush, please. Nope, apparently I ran out of stuff on my playlist. Can I start it again? There we go. Can listen to something for the last 5 minutes. There we go. I'm actually getting some paint on the brush now. This is useful. Gotta say, I kind of expected to be doing some more detail work on this tonight, but or to have like a figure completed. It would be nice if dev software had a one-click install that could set up a temporary Ubuntu VM just run your game. Really hard to do though. Probably a way to scope out the dev software. Well, so one of the things that I feel kind of is going to happen now that the Steam Deck is a thing, because it seems to have pretty decent footholds in the market so far. So I feel like if that's kind of what they run into, where why did this Hang on, just... Here, I'm just gonna hit this button. There we go. I feel like if the Steam Deck gets a good foothold in the market, then it gives developers a defined platform to write for. That's kind of the thing where... That's why consoles are nice, because it gives the devs this focused set of parameters that they can build a game for. And granted, they've had those parameters for doing game dev for PC software with like the Steam or with the NVIDIA Shield and stuff like that. But I feel like those never really got a good they never got a good foothold in the markets. They didn't really seem to get adopted. So, given that, it's no big surprise that they didn't really do anything with having a unified spec to build against. Oh yeah, consoles will always have better optimization. Glad they finally pushed it with the Series X PS. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and that's, like I said, that's the thing, is consoles will always have some of the best support because you have a dedicated spec to build against. Now, that might not always end up happening, because certainly there have been times where they will focus more on one particular platform and then not end up doing much outside of that. So, like, case in points, I have Armored Core 4 Answer for the 360 and the PS3. And I tried playing Ark Survival Evolved on Switch, yeah. I tried playing Armored Core 4 Answer on the PS3 because I had it rigged up to stream. And it worked okay, but you got a certain amount of enemies on the screen, and that thing became a slideshow. So it was one of those situations where it's just like, oh, okay, they did very little work on actually making sure that this ran well on all of the platforms that they were putting it out on. Apparently the 360 version, which I have not tried yet, runs better. I specifically got the 360 version after the fact because I'm like, hey, I'd actually like to play this, and it'd be nice to actually be able to play the game and not have it be a 1 frame per second game, you know? There we go. And just hit the edges of the tongue, hit the white a little bit. Oh, it is 6:30. I will need to wrap up pretty soon so that I can let my dog out. I'm surprised she has not been bothering me yet. Skyrim on PS4 runs good, but on PS4 Pro it barely runs because it forces it to run in 4K without options to change it. Why? Oh no. This is why I appreciate that a lot of games on the Pro give you the option to do performance or visuals. I like that they, in most cases, give you options. But Bethesda being Bethesda, they will always figure out how to screw something up with their ports. If I remember correctly, there was a save game glitch on one of the Fallout games on the PS3, where it's the more times you saved the game, the slower the game would get until it would finally just croak after a while and would be unplayable and would basically brick the console too, if I remember correctly. Alright. That is gonna have to be all for tonight. I'm actually surprised I didn't finish painting this, but it's good. I still got plenty of work to do on it, so I am looking forward to doing more of this on another Mellow Monday stream. I might try to finish up Venom for the detail work off stream. That way I can work on something else for the next one, but we'll see. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to be doing more of this because this was nice and relaxing to do. And I feel like once I got all of the stuff lined up for this, that it actually worked out pretty well. Well, thank you for coming. It was a lot of fun talking to you again, as always. And yeah, I hope you stay safe out there. I hope the COVID continues to improve. Hopefully it's completely gone for you at this point, but and fingers crossed this is the last time that you get it. But yeah, thanks for coming around. It was a lot of fun, and I'll be seeing you next time. And I'll be coming back tomorrow for some more Throwback Log Tuesday. I'm debating whether or not to continue the Demon Shaft in Dark Cloud right now. I might need a break from Dark Cloud for a bit, but we'll see. I'm on the fence right now as far as what I'm going to be playing tomorrow, but we'll see. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good night, good day, good afternoon, good morning, wherever it happens to be where you are. And yeah, I'll be seeing you soon. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.